Hello, hello. As always, trying to double check to make sure everything is working. Okay. I think we're live. Okay. I think we're live. I'm going to, as always, just give a couple minutes just in case anyone wants to join. Also going to make sure that the sound is okay. Let's see. Hi, Amanda. Thanks for being here. Just trying to make sure everything is working. I'll give a couple of minutes to see if anyone joins. Okay, sound is good. Okay, and if you're here with me, as always, just let me know. Drop like a hey in the chat or something. Just let me know that you're here so I can say hello as well. And just going to do one more thing so we can get the ball rolling. Again, if you're here, let me know in the chat. Say hey or something so I can say hey back. Hey, Kristen. Thanks for being here as always. I'm just going to give a warning that today is going to be a really, really light day. For two reasons. First being that my artist talk is tomorrow. So tomorrow at 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST, I will be streaming, or I guess not streaming, I'll be on Zoom with my other fall residents, and we'll be giving all of our artist talks. We'll be talking about our backgrounds, our project backgrounds, our progress on our projects, as well as the future of our projects. So since that's tomorrow, I didn't really want to go too hard today because I am taking the time to get my slides and presentation ready for tomorrow. So that's one reason why we're not going to go too serious today. And then the other reason is that I had dental work done this morning and the left side of my face is still a little bit numb and a little bit sore. So I'm probably not going to be streaming today for too long, not as long as I usually do, just because I am in a little bit of pain. So because of those two reasons, because we're going to take it light, I was thinking that today, depending on how much feedback I get from chat, that if you saw on my Instagram or my Twitter, I posted how I wanted today to be kind of like a chat day. As you all know, the project is very much like community based, so I wanted to use this kind of last open studio as a time for my community, the community, anyone who's been tuning in to just join, ask questions, leave comments, give feedback, and we just have like a conversation. And this could be about really anything within the realm of the project, so whether that's like, grief, wanting to talk about your grieving practices, your relationship with grief, how you feel about grief, dreaming, whether that's dreams you've been having at night or the dreams that you're actively having throughout the day about maybe the future or just yourself or what you want to see. Community, what that means to you, what that doesn't mean to you, how you feel about it, your relationship to your community, how you want to build community, VR, how you feel about VR, questions you might have about VR, feelings you might have about VR, really anything within the realm of, I was gonna say within the realm of my project, but I kind of feel like everything is within the realm of my project. So yeah, if you have any questions or concerns or feedback, anything you want to know about the project that I maybe haven't covered in these open studios, or if you're completely new here and you just want to know about the project, period. Now, I wanted to use this time to open the floor for that. Now, again, this is going to 100% depend on how many people we have today in the live and people actually have questions. If people don't have questions or feedback or anything that they want to talk about, I will probably just stream for maybe like 10 more minutes and I'll just kind of briefly go over what I plan to do and talk about tomorrow, just as maybe like a little tease. But yeah, I just want to keep things light today and again open the floor to any type of response that anyone who is watching today might have. So, yeah, on that note, please don't be shy. If you do have anything that you want to say or ask about, please feel free to type it in the chat. We're both on YouTube and Instagram. I can't see the Instagram comments, but Kristen, our laboratory residency director, can. So if you do have a question there, feel free to drop it there, and she will forward it along to me, and I can answer it. And if you're here on YouTube with me, feel free to drop it in the comments, and I can see it in real time. And I guess instead of awkwardly sitting here waiting to see if there will be questions, I'll go ahead and talk about kind of my plan for tomorrow. But yeah, while I'm talking, feel free to drop things in the comments. Okay, so tomorrow, again, is the fall residency kind of wrap-up artist talk, where all four of us, so it'll be me, Adrian / Avatar Lilith, Alexis, and Twong, will all be together on Zoom to give overviews of our time here at residency, our projects that we've been working on here at residency. So what I'm hoping to do is that my project is not done. If you've been watching the open studios, you know this. And it probably won't be like done, like full working version for at least sometime into 2021, which I kind of knew that going into this. It's a pretty big project. And I am baby stepping my way through it on purpose because I want it to be intentional. So because I don't have a final version to kind of show people tomorrow, kind of what I want to do, or kind of my plan for tomorrow, is to first talk about kind of the background of the project, how this project idea came to be, like why it exists, why I wanted it to exist, and then talk about my progress through the project while I spent my 2 months here at laboratory residency. So just kind of summarizing everything that I have talked about within my past open studios. I'll kind of summarize all of those things, and then kind of the major thing is talking about the future of the project. So again, it's not going to be done by tomorrow. So tomorrow I plan to kind of lay out what I have in mind as to like what the next steps are, and I am also hoping to create like a kind of like a walkthrough, not anything super like fancy or close to what the like final version would be, but just kind of like a, I don't know, just like a, I want to create like, if you were to be dropped into Eon, dropped into the world, which is the world site of a Place to Grieve project, if you were to be dropped into there, like you logged in, dropped at the origin point, and you just kind of got to move around like a little bit, I want to see if I can make something kind of like that in Blender, to just show people tomorrow to give people an idea of what it might be like to actually like visualize the things that I'm saying. Because I know this project it's pretty expansive, and also depending how well versed you are, I think, in tech and in like digital spaces, I think sometimes maybe the language can get a little bit heady or confusing. So I think it might be helpful to just create some type of visual to kind of showcase what I mean by like this virtual world. Now, again, the artist talk is tomorrow. So I don't know how fleshed out that will be before the artist talk, but I would like to create some type of, or I am working on creating some type of visual to show people, to just give people like an actual visual idea of kind of like what to expect here and what this actually is. So fingers crossed on that. We'll see how that turns out. Hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully it'll be something that makes sense. But yeah, that's kind of the plan for tomorrow, to discuss just like holistically the project, just the past, present, and future, and kind of like tie it all together for people, especially if you haven't been able to see all of the open studios. Tomorrow will be a really good time to pop in and get like a full kind of holistic idea of everything that I have been talking about. Now tomorrow I only have, I think, 30 minutes, I think 40 minutes max, which if you've been tuning into my open studios, you have seen that they have been kind of on the longer side. They have been like usually about an hour. So it's going to be interesting trying to fit all that information into 30, 40 minutes, but I think it'll be good, and I'm excited. And like I mentioned, I'll be doing this alongside the other residents as well. So if you haven't been tuning into their open studios, you'll also get to learn about their projects too, which is really, really exciting. And you can see all the ways that our projects kind of intersect, which I think is really, really cool, and something that wasn't like planned. You know, none of us knew each other before we proposed this. So it's really cool to see all of the connections like between all our work. So that's what's to expect tomorrow. That will be again at 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST, and I think I am going second after Avatar Lilith / Adrian, and we'll be doing some talking, and then at the very end there will be a Q&A, so if you do have questions, we'll get to answer them all there. Okay, yeah, so that is just kind of like a general kind of sort of preview for tomorrow. I see we have some questions, so I'm going to pull them. I'm going to see if I can pull them onto the screen. And hi, Lucia, thank you for being here. Okay, so Lucia asks, have you personally dreamed about this space throughout this project? If so, has that influenced your goals and or aesthetic? Does it look different in your mind's eye than in digital space? Ooh, I love questions like this. Thank you for asking. Okay, so when you're asking, have you personally dreamed about this space throughout this project? So if you're asking in terms of like, have I dreamed about this maybe like at night type of thing, like when I'm asleep? No, I have not. But as far as like actively kind of dreaming, imagining, I feel like I'm doing this kind of 24/7. I'm like, this is probably kind of bad because I kind of need to learn how to live more in the present, but I am often very much like in the future trying to think of like trying to imagine things that are not quite yet there. So when it comes to this project, yeah, definitely. I have definitely been dreaming about this space a whole lot throughout the course of this project, and I think the things that I was visualizing in my mind's eye is what guided the origin story / lore. And if so, has that influenced your goals and or aesthetics? Yeah, definitely. Even though I think you asked me this on another live, like, do I usually sketch or do I like write out things? So even though I usually write out ideas that I have, I'm like super visual in my mind. So I feel like I have been able to like I can clearly see the world in my mind, if that makes sense. And as far as does it look different in your mind's eye than in digital space, right now it definitely does, just because things are so rough. But I think now, interesting enough, I think both of them are working together. Like my dreams, or like what I'm seeing in my mind's eye is like kind of collaborating with digital space to figure out kind of like what is this middle ground to like communicate what I'm seeing in my head while utilizing kind of the opportunities in digital space to create this visual thing that will like translate to other people, if that makes sense. So like my mind's eye and like digital space are kind of like collaborating to like birth this thing. But as far as the aesthetics that you've been seeing so far, like the kind of like guide that I put out, or the like really quick and dirty prototype that I put out, all of those so far have been kind of existing within the realm of the things that I am like kind of actively dreaming about the space. I feel like I just rambled a lot, but I hope I hope that answered your question, and thank you for asking. Okay, I see another question from Kristen. Okay, so Kristen says, I love your inspiration from anime and video games. I think it would be so great if Eon looked like Sailor Moon mixed with a Child Guardian. Yes. What activities do you envision including besides it? Besides it looking beautiful and dreamy, if any activities? So, I had some like in the very beginning, even before I had the idea to create Eon, I had activities in mind that you can do in this space. So things like breathing exercises, things like the yoga, visiting the library. So there'll be a library of resources, but it'll actually be like a physical place that you can come visit. I don't know if you'll be able to like flip through books or anything like that. I'm not sure how interactive I can get just yet. But so there's that. I also plan to build like an altar in the space. So coming to the altar to maybe like pray or give offerings, like do manifestation exercises, like things kind of like that. I more so kind of want to create like structures and places for activities to occur if you choose to, minus like building in really set activities, if that makes sense. I'm not sure how to explain this. Like for example, like let's say I put just like a ball in the space, right? But like I don't put any like constraints or directions around the ball, then that ball can be used for a lot of different things. So, you know, you can use that ball to play activities with other people in the space, or you can use the ball to do back stretches. You can use the ball to, I don't know, you can use the ball for like an infinite amount of things, whatever you imagine. Versus if I put the ball in the space on top of like it's a specific ball, it's a soccer ball that I put on a soccer field, then the intention there is like for you to play soccer. So I think I want to go with kind of like the former, where I'm putting these structures like the altar or like mats, or like beds, things that, you know, have purpose, but you are able to use however you need to use them, just because grief is so, you know, there's a wide kind of range of grieving practices. So, you know, if you want to use the ball to play with other people, you can use it to play with other people. But if you want to use it to do back stretches, you can do for back stretches, if that makes sense. And I think on last stream I talked about how maybe there could be curated kind of events and things, which is something I'm still kind of playing with in my head. I think it would be cool if like people could host specific like healing, grieving activities, you know, like a sound bath or something like that in the space. So I think I would really love to see that, but I think that's going to depend on like how interactive I can fully like make this space. Okay, and I see a follow-up question. So we have, do you imagine any NPC or other creatures like child, for example, or characters? So far, the only NPC that I am imagining in the space is the world guide. I want the space to be completely kind of occupied, used by real people, real users. And I don't imagine this necessarily like as a game. Like, like there's gonna be like quests and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I think the only NPC that I want in the space is the world guide, and the world guide would just be there again to kind of like explain what the world is about, kind of like a reference point, and as well as like a guide to help facilitate the transition from material space into digital space, just because sometimes that can cause things like dysphoria and stuff like that. So in order to avoid that, I would like the guide to be kind of the facilitator of that, and the guide will be within the world. So the plan is to have like a backstory for the guide as well. I think I put a little bit of backstory, just like a one-liner, on the website, so chrissybrimmage.com/eon, where I talked about how there's like rumors, or it's like believed that the guide is just like a manifestation or personalization of Eon's own energy, or personification, I'm sorry, of Eon's own energy. So they are like a character, they definitely are like an NPC, but I don't want like a lot of that, I don't think, in this space, because I want, again, kind of going back to like the activities question, I really want people to make the space what they want it to be, instead of me putting like a whole lot of focus onto like, I don't know, like I don't want to over curate, I think is what I'm trying to say. I want people to be able to use the space for what they want it to be, instead of feeling like they're within the constraints of like a game. I hope this is making sense. But thank you for these questions. These are really, really good questions. Hi, Taylor. Thanks so much for joining. It's good to see you here. Okay, we have another question here from Lucia. Okay, so Lucia asks, will the space have memory? Will folks be able to leave a physical material mark on the space, like drawings, objects, etc., or even just move objects, places, etc. around the space? I'm so happy you asked this, and I wish Alicia was here, because we actually had a conversation about this, which was really good. And the honest answer right now is I don't know, but this is what I'm thinking. So the conversation that Alicia and I have was about archiving and the importance of archiving, especially within, marginalized communities whose stories don't often get archived. But kind of on the other side of this, kind of need for archiving, or not on the other side, but a question that is asked within this realm of like, what needs to be archived, what doesn't need to be archived, what should be archived, what shouldn't be archived. And this is a question that pops up a lot around trauma and grief. Is trauma and grief something that should be documented? Which, depending on context, you might have a different answer. And I guess an even kind of like not sub-level question, but kind of deeper into that question is like, should you risk re-traumatizing people for the sake of archiving? So this is why I'm saying I don't know quite yet, because I don't know the answer to these questions. I have thought about, though, like digital artifacts, because digital artifacts are a real thing, and like even if I don't create like a physical object that you can leave behind. So for example, let's say that like you go to the altar space and you leave behind like flowers or something, like a physical digital object in the space. Like even if I don't do that, you're still leaving data every time you enter the space. So then it's the question, it's like, well, what do you do with that data? Is it something that you document? Is it something that you publicize? And then it's the question of like, well, what do the people in the space want done with those objects? Like, do, when you do leave like an offering, or even when you just leave your data, in this space that is for grief, or like working through grief, or maybe even leaving grief, do you want that documented? Do you want it archived? And yeah, I don't quite know just yet. I mean, I personally love the idea of like documentation and archiving, just because I think it is important. But I want to make sure that if I do some form of like digital archiving, that I'm being considerate of the fact that like this is a space for grief, and like with grief there's also trauma, and I don't want to archive anything or publicize anything that could potentially like re-traumatize people. So yeah, I don't know just yet, but it is something I'm thinking about. As far as moving objects, places, etc. around the space, I would like that. Yeah, definitely. As far as I know, within Unity, it's pretty, I mean, I won't say simple, but it's definitely possible to create interactivity between avatars, not even just avatars, but you like in your VR gear and objects, just using like collisions and stuff like that. And yeah, I would like people to be able to interact with the space. Like, it's not just you enter the space and there's just these like, it's just a whole bunch of, what would be the word? I don't know, like just set fixtures that you can just walk around. Like, I would like for people to be able to like touch things, interact with things, and they interact back with you. As far as like what exactly will those objects be, not 100% sure yet, but I have thought lightly about things like, like the altar space. Again, I don't want to give constraints around what you do at the altar, but something that happens a lot at altars is that, people leave offerings. And I think, or even like at the like memorial site, I plan to like build in a memorial site on Eon as well. Like, something that people often do at memorial sites is like leaving flowers, leaving gifts. And it would be, I think, really cool and beautiful to be able to translate that material grieving practice into this digital space, which is something that I put kind of in the like kind of thesis of the project as well, is trying to figure out how to translate these like material things that we do to grieve into digital space. So yeah, I definitely want people to be able to move things, interact with things, and I would like for people to make a mark on a space. But as far as like how deep are we going to go into archiving all that, not 100% sure just yet. And if anyone has thoughts on that, I would really, really love to hear that. Like, how do you feel having your kind of digital footprint, your digital interactions archived, even if it's just, like on social media, like, or just on the internet, period. You know how they say, like, anything that you do on the internet is there permanently. How do you feel about your digital kind of existence being archived? What do you want archived? What do you not want archived? What do you want people to see digitally? And what do you not want people to see digitally? I would really love to hear anyone's thoughts on that. And thank you, Lucia, for the questions. Thank y'all so much for all the questions, as always. They really like, sorry, I'm like reading the comments and also trying to talk, but questions always really help, I think, push me, because I am just one person, so having these different perspectives, different interpretations of what I'm communicating, being like communicated back with me, whether that is through feedback or questions, I really, really appreciate it, because it really does help me like expand and maybe think about things that I haven't yet thought about. So thank you as always for all of the questions. Okay, so I'm not seeing any more questions just yet, but also I have learned that my live stream, me seeing it, is kind of in the future of when y'all see it. So I'm going to give maybe just like maybe just like another minute couple minutes or so just to see if any other questions or comments come through. And if not, I will probably end it pretty soon just because the left side of my face is really, really hurting. So I don't want to push it too much because I want to make sure I am good for tomorrow, because tomorrow is the big day. But again, if anyone else has any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in either the Instagram chat or the YouTube chat. And while I wait to see if anything else comes through, if you are new here, even if you're not new here, and you're just like, what is this project? I still don't really understand. How can I learn more? What is Chrissy talking about? I have been archiving everything that I am doing on my website, so I'm going to actually switch. Thank you, Amanda. I'm sure it'll be fine. It's just one of those things that just time heals all type of thing. And it's not too bad. It's just so recent that it's just kind of bothersome. But thank you. But okay, so I'm gonna quickly switch here. So yeah, if you want to learn more about the project, this is kind of like the place. This is the central kind of HQ to learn about everything. So if you go to chrissybrimmage.com/eon, I have what the project is about here at the top of the page. I also have links to my mind map, which is where I'm mapping out kind of all my thoughts and conversations around the major themes of the project. So I'll just quickly show you what that looks like. And I opened it publicly, so I think before it was private, so you had to have a link to get in, but now it's public, so you can just click that button and it'll hop you right on in here. So yeah, all of the kind of major themes, follow around the kind of the project title here, and then you can see all of like the readings that I've been doing, any like tweets, conversation, photos that have been sparking any type of like interest or relativity to the project are all on here. So this is kind of like a sub-project within the project type of thing, but I try to update this weekly. I can't lie, these past like 2.5 weeks, I haven't really been updating it weekly, but I will continue to even past my time here at Laboratory. So check back on that if you do want to see how that evolves. I also have all of my open studios archived here. So if you've missed some, if you want to rewatch some, you can just click this button here to find them. They're also on YouTube. So the same channel that you're watching from now, if you are on YouTube, you can find all my past ones on there. And as well as Laboratory Residencies IGTV, which is where this link goes to. And then if you scroll down even more, you can learn more about Eon, which is again just the world site kind of location for the A Place to Grieve project. So Eon is the kind of, I'm calling it a fictional, non-fictional world, and just the story and history and everything behind Eon is what is guiding the aesthetics and feel of the world. So the VR world that I'm talking about, the space, Eon is what is guiding kind of the feeling and aesthetics of it. So if you want to learn more about Eon, you can come here to learn more about the world history. This is something that is honestly really just a summary right now. Like I've talked about before, that I really want to build out kind of like a full Wikipedia page for it. Like go full like Hogwarts, like just think of any major kind of fictional world. Like I want this to feel like that. So this is kind of like the summary of it right now, but I want to build out the story, the world codex, and if you scroll down even further, you can find a map that has the points of interest. So I reference a couple of these, like the library and stuff like that, and brief descriptions of what you can expect to find in these locations. So as you can see, it's still something that I'm building out. And again, it will be something that I continue to update as I move through the project, even past my time at Laboratory Residency. Again, this is a project that is pretty big, so I don't expect to finish it by the end of 2020, but I do hope, not even hope, I mean, I will continue to work on it through, 2021, and hopefully get this thing off the ground and out into the world for people. Okay, I'm seeing a couple comments. Let me switch back to me really quick. Kristen said, "Thank you so much, Chrissy. Love hearing you discuss your work, and I hope you feel better." Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure I'll be good by tomorrow. Again, just you know how going to the dentist is. Not a fun time. And Lucia said, "Love that discussion. I don't know much about designing interactive spaces through Unity, but I wonder if there's a way to determine if certain marks/objects are permanent. Feel better soon." Yeah. So depending on like, okay, so within Unity, you can what, I don't remember the terms for it, so I apologize because this is gonna sound like a really clunky decision, but or a clunky explanation. Basically, when you create an object in Unity, so let's say I create like just a box. I just put a box in Unity. I can assign things to it like collisions or gosh, I'm blanking on all of the other ones. But think of certain things like collisions, or think of things like, switches, like turning something on and off. So if you don't assign anything to it, then the object will be kind of permanent. Oh wait, I feel like I just now understood your question. Asking if it'll be permanent in the space as far as like whether something will be like kind of archived or like temporary. So for example, if like someone put a flower down in the memorial space, like how long does that flower exist there? I think maybe is what you're asking. And I think there is a way to do that. I'm pretty sure you can time or give like a lifetime to objects, which is something that if I do create things like, offerings or gifts or something of that sort, I'm figuring that they'll have to have like a lifetime or a time limit, just because, depending on how many people are in the space, you don't want to like overload the server. But yeah, to be 100% honest, like I have used Unity for 1.5 projects, and they were 2D projects. So this is my first like 3D project that I'm doing in Unity. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty certain. I'm pretty certain you can give lifetimes to objects. So we'll see. Yeah. And gotcha. Thanks, Lucia. Sorry. I saw permanent and took it so literal, but then, yeah, I figured. Your question made 100% sense. I just saw permanent and ran with it. But, yeah, I guess we'll see as I get kind of deeper into the actual building. And that is something that is kind of a little bit up in the air right now. I think I mentioned it last week that VR chat, which is where I was going to be building out or hosting the world, sorry. So the plan was to build out the world in Unity and then host it onto a VR chat, which is just a place to host VR worlds. They no longer offer support for Mac, so now I'm having to rethink the whole design kind of tech side of it. And that is going to, 100% determine what is possible and not possible within spaces, depending on like where and how I decide to build it. So I feel a little bit, not gonna lie, I feel a little bit lost in that area as I'm trying to refigure like how I'm gonna actually, build this in a way that like people can enter it. Because building it, like I could still build in Unity, but I don't know. That is something that I feel pretty lost. I feel pretty lost in. But I feel like, and this could be just me not having any background, but I feel like if you've seen it in video game spaces, I feel like it can be recreated in VR. At least that's what I'm telling myself. So right now I'm telling myself that anything I want to happen and to create is possible. Because if I've imagined it, then I've probably seen it somewhere, right? But we'll see. We'll see as the progress chugs along what is possible and not possible. But I think everything's possible. So that's what I'm banking on. But okay, so I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. But again, as I'm saying things, you're hearing this late. So if you're hearing this now, still feel free to type things in the chat and I'll still be happy to answer them. But I guess the only other thing that I wanted to say is that, well, for one, thank you so much for everyone that has been joining me on these lives. I've never really live streamed before. So doing this like weekly and doing this for a project that's not done yet, which is also very new to me. I usually don't talk about projects until they're like 80% done. I'm not used to talking about projects from the very beginning and having to be vulnerable about the fact that, like, you know, I'm trying to figure this out as I go and that there's things that I don't know. But being here and doing this with everyone has been like a really cool and like I think very rewarding experience. So thank you so much to everyone who has been tuning in. Even if you've tuned in just one time, even if you just shared the open studio for other people to tune in, I really, really appreciate it. Being able to be in conversation with everyone has been really, really great. Thank you so much to Laboratory for having me. I am very sad that my time at Laboratory is ending, but it's been really beautiful, and I will always consider myself part of the Laboratory family. And if you are interested in learning more about the project, in talking about anything within the realm of the project, you can contact me via my website, so just chrissybrimmage.com, or on my Instagram, which is just chrissybrimmage. Feel free to DM me, and I will be happy to talk about anything that's on your mind. And that is all I think that I have for today. So again, don't forget that the artist talk is tomorrow. It will be with all 4 of us, all 4 fall residents. We begin at 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST. It will be all 4 of us talking, one at a time, of course. And then at the very end, there will be a section for question and answering. And it'll be on Zoom, so I think I'll be able to see your faces, hopefully, if you are willing to show it, which would be very nice. And if you are interested in attending the artist talk tomorrow, if you go to Laboratory Residency's Instagram, which is just Laboratory Residency, if you go to their link in their bio, the very first link, you'll see an Eventbrite to go ahead and register, and that's how you'll get the Zoom link. All right, that is all for now. Again, thank you so much to everyone. Thank you so much to everyone who's here today. I see 5 people are live with me. Thanks so much for being here, at least on YouTube. If you're on Instagram, thanks so much for joining on Instagram. I really do appreciate everyone for taking the time out to be here. I hope to continue to be in conversation with you all even after my residency ends. But until then, I will see you all hopefully tomorrow. I hope you all have a great rest of your Friday and weekends, and we'll talk very soon. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye for now.